Hello, everybody, and welcome to the international sensation of Two Mic Minimum. It always feels so good when we touch.
I love doing this in front of strangers,
right,
too.
but no one can see this one this time. If you want to see Sean and I actually double finger touch each other, check out the interview we did with Dennis Gizzoli on our YouTube channel.
And more importantly, you could buy tickets to our live show on December 7th at Lucy's Laugh Lounge in Pleasantville, New York.
Yes, we got a live show coming up. We're going to have people from the podcast on this show. So if you're in the Westchester area and you want to see us do another face reveal, then you can come check that out.
Yeah, you'll watch Peter and I finger each other. That is our. We promise that will happen.
That is a guarantee. Laughs maybe, but fingering each other, guarantee.
Yeah, I don't think laughs are going to happen.
Like most comedy shows, fingering guaranteed. Laughs not.
Yeah, I don't think there's ever been a comedy show where somebody didn't get fingered.
But anyway, my name is Peter Clark Deutsch.
My name is Sean Barry,
and we're not in home anymore. We're actually just like 30 miles south of where we live.
Yeah.
We're in New York City right now. We're here with our second New York City transplant. Our guest, a great guest. He's a writer for the Hard Times, and he's also performed all over the Mid-Atlantic, which includes the Philly and Delaware area.
Yeah, I
Kevin
also have
Hufe.
2 dogs here.
2 dogs, Yogi and Mochi.
Throw that in the credits.
I know, the dogs are very friendly. Ones.
We'll take a picture of the dogs to post for the gram, because that'll get more likes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, totally. We're going to get like 10 white girl followers off
Damn
that.
right, that's my main demographic.
Right.
Yeah, but thank you for having me on, fellas.
Thank you for coming
an
on.
It definitely
honor.
seems like you didn't just wake up, but it seems like you just.
Oh no, it's my day off, and I'm in like extremely day off mode.
When do you work? Like
when?
Just like Sundays through.
Oh,
Fridays?
what days of the week?
Yeah,
I work like Sunday through Thursday. No, Sunday through Wednesday, and I'm off Thursday and Saturday.
Oh, okay.
Because it's like based on like what my work needs.
Gotcha.
So I don't know, but. Yeah, so super interesting facts about me, my work schedule.
You're just talking about your work schedule.
Yeah.
That's why
We're here to know every aspect of a comedian's life, including their weird weekends they don't really have.
No, my schedule is weird. It is like every time, like we're in like a group message or whatever, and every time someone's like, "Do people want to get drinks?" I'm like, "Oh no, I have work at like 6 a.m, or I'm like, "No, I'm at work right now. I can't. Sorry."
We're getting brunch now.
Yeah.
What? You have work? No one should be working during brunch except for people who have to serve people during brunch.
People who work the brunch.
The most unfortunate souls on the planet.
Yeah, that's a fate worse than death, I think.
Yeah, we were listening to a comedian last night talking about how it's just like the same thing of like, I think it was like the same thing as going out to like a club or something, because you go out with your like 8 friends and you all just get drunk.
Pretty much.
But the difference is that it's like 1 p.m.
Yeah. 1 p.m. It's like 11 a.m. sometimes.
Yeah. Bottomless mimosas, baby. Yes, but it's Kevin Hufe, right?
Yes.
Okay, because when I said that, I was like, it might have been Hufe, and I messed it up.
No, you're good, dude. Yeah, that was good. I usually I write it out phonetically at every single open mic in New York since I moved here. I'm like, no, it's not going to be
like a dictionary, just like HOO who.
Now I do. Now I do WHO dash FEE, like you gotta pay the Who fee. That's because I had to do a couple variations before I got to that. But
that's why I only go up as Peter Clark now, because no one knows how to pronounce Deutsch. They all pronounce it as
douche.
Peter Clark.
You got the douche coming on.
Peter Clark douchebag.
Listen, when you get canceled, you have to go straight for the alt-right scene. You can go up as Peter Douche.
It's gonna be like Peter Clark the douche man.
Yeah.
Like that's gonna be my alt-right.
It's not the worst idea.
My alt-right persona.
You guys can rebrand the whole podcast as like a old radio show, like Big Man and the Douche.
Douche.
The douche.
Big Sean and the Douche.
So these Mexicans that are coming into our country,
how do we build them?
I'm glad you brought me in.
They're taking over our open mics. They're taking over our open mics. They're not funny.
There's a lot of people of color stealing white man's comic jobs.
Anyway, can you do a bit for us right now?
That'll be for our Patreoners, our alternate reality 70s racist podcast. guess.
That's a good Patreon idea.
Yeah, no,
that's better than most.
We'll do it.
Yeah.
We'll do it when we accept the fact that none of us will ever make it.
Yeah,
it's like it's okay if we put this out there.
Yeah, that's like if you can make $15, you're like, hey,
Yeah, $15 a month will go a long way towards paying.
Hey, I'm about to make
$25.
$25 from the hard times with this article I'm about to write, and I could honestly say I'm making more money than 90% of comics in New York City because.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, Kevin. So when did you start getting into comedy?
I started comedy when I was 23, so it was like a little under 4 years ago, I guess. Okay. Yeah, it was in like the spring of that year. Yeah, I started at like a extremely local mixed mic in the suburbs in like Delaware. It was at like a fucking bike shop. And I heard about it from this like hippie cooperative Facebook group that I was on for like people in the area, and I was like, I'll try it there because like fucking I don't care if they don't like me. Of all people whose opinion like I could respect the least, it's like a hippie's opinion on comedy. Like
right.
So I'm like, yeah, that's where it was.
That was your first open mic.
Yeah. Yeah, and then luckily this comedian Brandon Jackson, who's like from down there, but he's lived up here. He moved back down there for a little bit. He's probably coming back up. He happened to be at that mic, so he's like, "Here's where the other mics are in Philly and stuff." So yeah,
and that mic was in Delaware. Where in like was it? Was it like northern Delaware?
It's yeah. So Delaware's like a weird state because it's like so small, but it's like the only stuff that happens is in like the north.
Right.
The northest county, and there's only like 2 real cities, and one of them is just like because it's a college town. It's Newark, or that's where I'm from. And then there's like Wilmington, and then besides that, there's just the beach. Right. Like there really isn't anything. I've done mics in like the middle of Delaware, but it's like fucking it's bizarre.
Or is it mostly just bars, or has there been any other weird like shop mic?
Like down there, it's like bars that are in like strip malls. So it's like yeah, it's like for like the weird people of like the like economically lower middle class. Like farmland area to just like drink and drive to.
Who's going to bars at a strip mall?
Exactly. So, yeah.
Oh, wait, actually, that makes sense.
There's a lot of them though. So
I was
like,
for some reason I was thinking of a real mall. I don't
like
know. If strip. I just said strip mall.
No, yeah,
like,
strip mall, just like the side of the highway, like
I
next to a Dunkin' Donuts and like a pottery shop or something.
Honestly, like when
it's like who is the city planner here that put this bar next to this Build-A-Bear workshop on the middle of a highway
next to like a pediatric dentistry?
Yeah.
That's that sounds like, I think when it comes to like New York City's comedians' perception of comedy outside of New York City, it's just like strip mall bar open mics.
That is the thing with like mics here, because it's like when people talk about like how bad a mic is here, it's like, oh, you have no idea how bad mics can be.
No, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like there's pizzerias, there's
like there's technically like a chance that someone could like walk into any open mic in New York City and they could like be a person that like makes a difference. Like nobody's walking into like Townsend, Delaware strip mall bars to be like, oh wow, you're actually so talented. I want to.
Well, you don't get Colin Quinn to drop by.
The ceiling is so unbelievably low outside of the city that it's like there is no bad. Like everything here is technically okay. Like
no one, you never hear like a comedian stopping by like this is the new place to start comedy. Like this is it's either you move to New York or LA. Like it's just
or Chicago
or Chi-Town. Yes.
Yeah, or you just do stuff. It is because it is like. Yeah, like the big companies are like here or whatever, but now it's like they just like wait for someone to just come out of nowhere and then just give them some money to make them more money. So it's like you don't even really like need to be here for like if you're just making your own shit and getting like attention.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah, I mean,
There's so much just do-it-yourself stuff with YouTube and like
Yeah.
just the internet itself. Like this stupid fucking podcast we have.
Yeah.
Like it's gotten attention from us just messaging random people, being like, "Hey, you want to do our podcast?"
Yeah.
And then weirdly enough, some of them take off.
And it's crazy how like many comedians who have accomplished more than all of us have wanted to be on this podcast.
Yeah,
which is like,
it's so nuts.
you
Like,
know, we're interviewing a guy named Carmen Cirisillo later today, who's like been
Where
doing
in the
it
world
for
is
30
Carmen
years.
Ciricillo.
Ciricillo.
Yeah, Ciricillo.
We'll save that for the Carmen episode.
That's a little
Thank
teaser
you.
for everybody.
Thank you,
We'll find him out.
Carmen, I have a joke that I wrote myself that I want to present to you.
Yeah.
Okay, so you started off essentially in Delaware. Did you ever live in Philly? I don't think I ever asked you.
No, but
Okay.
like I have I have a sibling, like my sister lives there,
Uh-huh.
so that like whenever I had days off, I would just like go to Mike's and then just like crash at her apartment and then come back. And it's only like less than a 40-minute drive.
Really?
So like
See, in my
from,
head,
from
Delaware
like
is
northern from like northern Delaware to Philly, because like Philly is that south in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
It's really like less than an hour drive.
Okay.
So it's like it's not.
Yeah, because
that
Philly's a pretty
difficult.
quick drive for us too. It's like
It's like 2 hours. Did your
change.
school do like the
Yeah, we did. We did a
Independence trip?
Liberty Bell trip.
Yeah,
or
we did
whatever.
like the trip where we like got to see the
Got to see where America started.
where America started, and then they like let us roam free for lunch, and we like went through a bunch of alleys with homeless people and druggies,
Yeah.
being like, "Where are the cheesesteaks?"
Pennsylvania is
Geno's.
like it's a bizarre state because it's like the last election especially like highlighted
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
It's like thought of like you kind of like think of it as like kind of cosmopolitan because of Philly, and then like you know that Pittsburgh's there.
Yeah.
But it's like they're literally on complete opposite sides of this huge mass of just nothing.
Of just
like
nothing.
yeah.
yeah, because like we drove to Ohio like a month ago, like me and a few guys from Philly, and it's just like that's such a long drive.
I did-
So I was just like, oh shit, we're like just now passing like Pittsburgh to get into
I
Cleveland.
went to Penn
like,
State once, but I was getting like recruited to play ball there, and I was just like, "This is the middle of fucking nowhere. It just
Yeah.
keeps going and going, and you're like, how the fuck do people do this?"
Yeah, it's
Bad state. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, they get better. Come on, what are you guys doing?
just put something in the middle. Just
Yeah,
like
just,
make
add a
one, make
third-
one more city.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what.
Just
Like-
make your own Austin in Pennsylvania.
yeah,
essentially.
make Allentown, Austin. Right?
Yeah,
They already have a song.
Yeah, open up some kombucha places. Get like the tech industry in there. Some startups.
Yeah, something just like cool. Put it near a river.
Yeah, just get some yuppies to come there and
Yeah.
be like they are in New York City. You know.
Yeah.
No, yeah, they just had-
Every state needs its own New York City, essentially.
Yeah.
they had their chance when like that when Amish culture was back into when they had that Amish Mafia show. That was the most bizarre show ever. It's just like, who thinks this is real?
Yeah.
All the young people are like, I want to live in Philadelphia and,
It's like-
and play poker with the Amish Mafia.
Yeah. It's just like some asshole that happens to be Amish, and they're like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, he's like Tony Soprano but of being
Oh,
Amish.
he doesn't look both ways while crossing the street. What a fucking
Yeah.
rebel.
Yeah.
So, how long were you performing in Philly for before you made the move to New York City?
So I moved here at the beginning of the year, like February, March.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been in Philly for like 3 years.
Right.
Like the Philly area for like 3 years or so. Yeah.
Yeah. So how does I think actually no. First of all I want to say is that I've only heard terrible things about the Philly scene.
Yeah.
Damn.
We've only heard terrible things.
There is an entire TV show that it's been on for 14 years now. It's like, man, Philadelphia
Yeah.
fucking sucks.
But also the comedy scene. I heard. I mean, like
Yeah.
when we were talking to Samantha Ivey, she was just like, "Oh, if you want to like get some like real negative people on the podcast, go to Philadelphia." And I said like, "No, I never want to go to Philadelphia." But now we have a guy from Philly who did comedy in Philly here.
Yeah.
So Philly comedy scene gets a bad rap, right?
Yeah, well, it's weird because it's like depending on who you ask and depending on what shows people do, it'll be like completely all over the spectrum of like responses. Because it's like you talk to certain like alt comedians, they go through Philly, they stop at like the alt theater, they do a show, and then they leave, and they're like, Philly comedy is like awesome. And then like but then if you're like if you like not really at the club level, like you can get some spots and some time, but the spots are still like bar shows. They're like mid-major city bar shows. So it's weird. Like culturally, I guess it's like bizarre because it's a small enough scene that like everybody knows each other, but it's big enough for like people to like form cliques, which is like weird because it's just like they're not. It's not like they're like churning out tons and tons of comedians out of Philly that are like going on to like major success. So it's like, yeah, you guys would probably all benefit from not being so
not being friends
like
with each
high
other.
school with each other. Yeah. But that like that I think is probably like the biggest problem with Philly. That and it's like there's only like 2 clubs there. There's a Helium and there's a Punchline there. And the Punchline there is like new. Before there was like a just Helium. And they only have like so many spots to like give out. And because like they have so many shows, they only had like 1 open mic a week. So it's like the like by far best room in town, like the amount of time is like very tight there. So I think that like competition or that like scarcity of like really good time kind of invites people to get like more hostile with each other than like necessary.
Yeah. So was it be like 40, 50 people signing up for the open mic or really high volume? One of those just goes all night.
Yeah, well, so like it doesn't go super super long, just like a lot of people don't get to go up.
Oh.
And like you can sign up online beforehand and there's like a chance you might get picked, but they'll like give it to people that they kind of like that they know are good enough for like a decent amount. Like new people can get on now and then, but it might be like you might get on there like once or twice a year.
So it's like a booked showcase almost.
Almost, yeah.
But
like,
it's for comics.
So it's like it's tough, but because it's like I've only done like open mic there like once, and then they have like a big comedy competition there every year, and I did that once as well. And it's like it's a really fucking good room. It's really well designed. Like the ceilings are really low. The stage is like really nice. The green room is like set up well. But it's like, yeah, it's not really that helpful if you can't get on. Like it is cool to have a really good club, but
now with that room, like with the open mic room, like do people do that mic because they think they'll be able to do spots at that club? Like do like the bookers look at the open mic or
yeah, like the head guy there, like if you like do well there, and if like the comedians that like are already in there like talk about you, I guess that's kind of a thing with like most clubs.
Yeah.
It's like if the people that they know are already like good comedians are willing to talk about you as a good comedian, then like you're more likely to get opportunities, I guess.
That would make sense.
Which is like pretty logical because it's like, oh yeah, they're like trusting the people that they know are talented to judge talent for them in like a lot of ways. But
do they do a lot of showcases there, or is it, or like would they just put comics up on like a spot with like a headliner that
they do like regional showcases, and like they'll do like a showcase of like the funny women, like those kind of things.
Yeah.
And then they do like different stuff now and then. Same kind of thing with Punchline. There's like a little bit more opportunity at Punchline, I guess.
And Punchline's newer though, right?
It's newer, and it's kind of like a weird space. It's like it's like the kind of space that would be like a brewery normally, I guess. So like the ceilings are pretty high.
Yeah.
It's kind of like an auditorium.
It's kind of like a more bizarre room to do when it's not like super packed out, but it's also like a very good room, and they're like really nice there. So yeah.
It is like, do you get like audiences at like the mics in those clubs or?
Yeah, Helium gets audiences pretty consistently for like most shows, because it like that's like the comedy club that most people in Philly that aren't comedians would know of, like as the comedy club, I guess.
Right.
And it's on in like a pretty busy street and like pedestrian accessible.
Right.
Like Punchline's a little further out of the way. Like it's not like it's kind of around like a bunch of like eventy bars. Like there's like one of those like bowling alley bar things like near it. Yeah. Like those kind of spaces where it's like there's not necessarily as much pedestrian traffic, but people will still go in to be like, oh, let's get a drink there. Oh, there's like a show.
Free comedy.
It's free. Maybe I'll stop in.
I haven't heard comedy in 20
Yeah.
years.
I haven't laughed since the Trump administration started.
Yeah, it's just only outside New York City will audience members walk into mics. I mean, New York City, if you're not doing a mic at a club, like you'll sometimes get audience members.
Well, that's that's the power of like just calling your bar a comedy club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's like if you're like going to a regular bar and you hear that there's like comedy going on, you're like, oh, the comedy is going to be the quality of the bar.
Yeah.
So it's like
it's a dirty, like, grungy bar. It's gonna be dirty, grungy. Comics.
Or like they don't normally have comedians here. Like, how good of a show could it be, or whatever? But it's just like, if you're like, oh, that's the place that puts on comedy shows, and they're offering a show for free, then maybe it'll be good because that's like what they're supposed to be good at.
Comedy should make you laugh. I don't know if that's a radical opinion. Maybe it's too radical.
I don't
and that's the amazing thing too, because like you do like a spot where there's like a lot of people that like they know that there's comedy happening and they want to go see it. It's like so much better than open mics. It's like, and you're like, it can be like shocking when you've just been doing mics for a while when you do like a book show,
like,
especially one where it's paid, because like free showcases, people can get kind of like annoying in the crowd because they are like not invested in it. But even like a $5 show, you're just like, oh my god, this is amazing.
People paid to see this.
Well, yeah, if you're ever doing a bar show, you got to do a cover. I feel, because if you just do it for free, there's not something at stake for the audience.
Yeah, it doesn't incentivize people. Like I saw this once. People, like a lot of like celebrities, turn their Instagrams on private to make you request the follow, because that way that builds up your numbers, because they know people will just go in and look randomly if it's open there for anybody. So I think it's the same principle. By having it a little closed off, it makes people want to come in more.
Yeah, and when they're there, it makes them more likely to pay attention.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I spent my $5. I better get my fucking money's worth.
Yeah, or at least just like, I'm not gonna like fuck around because I already spent money on this show. Like, I might as well just watch it.
Yeah.
And so you were talking about how Philly has a sort of alternative scene, and then there's like the typical club and bar scene. Are they very like mutually exclusive to each other, or is there a lot of crossover between comics between those two scenes?
So I guess like the way I would describe it is it's like any like people that kind of like self-identify as like groups or whatever. There's always people that are like, I don't associate with them and they're bad. But then there's other people in the group that are like, all right, well, like I think this one is fine and this one is fine and this one is fine, because I like know them and I talk to them and I won't like bring it up every time you go on like some self-righteous rant about who is good or bad. But like most people in most circumstances, I think, like get along with each other fine, like in life in general. It's just like, but the people that are most mad are most loud about it, so it's like a lot of times it seems worse than it is.
I would understand
that's about
that.
right.
Because, like, you know, they're the guys who post on Facebook and get 100 comments, and people, like, think, like, oh, this guy, Philadelphia, I never want to go there.
Yeah.
Most normal people, they don't like something, they just ignore it, as opposed to, like, the crazies who, like, hate something. Like, I need to make sure everyone knows this.
Yes.
And goes, like, they go out of their way.
This will help my brand if people think I'm an angry person.
Yeah. And also, like, because of like the economy of like time with comedy, it's like people will like kind of just hang out with people that give them spots, or like
or
so like
that's the only reason why I hang out with Peter.
Yeah. That's smart.
Yeah.
See, you're
neither
being
of us have given each other
tactical
spots
comedian.
before.
Well, one day that's why I hang out with anybody though.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's like yeah, like a lot of people just kind of like hang out with their friends or whatever, but like good people usually still like find ways to make lineups diverse and like different perspectives or whatever, and like people that just want to like use their showcase to leverage spots on other people's showcases will run shitty showcases where they put up their 4 friends
Yeah.
like every week.
Who also run shitty
Who
showcases.
also run shitty showcases and put them up. Like that's where it's like,
And
yeah,
everybody just eats their own tail.
yeah.
So, would you say it's cliquey at all? Like people who hang out there, hang out, like I find that in this New York a lot. Like people who hang out at the Pear, or like the people who hang out at the Strip. They're kind of like a little cliquey, and it's hard to get into like those circles.
Like there's like the click for each like spot. Yeah.
Well, with like comedians too, especially, it's like because like the like for the most part, the like skill curve is so steep. And especially here, where it's like there's tons of people that are just like, I'm gonna be a comedian now. Like, like if you're like hanging out with like a bunch of comedians, like a lot of times like someone comes up and they like are like, this is how I'm gonna act because I'm a comedian now, or like they're new to it, and like the if you have no idea how any of it works, like the day to day of like what it's like, or like how to write jokes at all, it's like such a bizarre thing to try to relate to people too. But because of that, people kind of like are like more standoffish to people that are just like, no, like I've been doing comedy somewhere else for years, or like, oh, I just don't go to this like club or this bar often, but I just go to these bars instead, and I also do mics consistently. Because it's like just like that initial like assumption, that initial like prejudgment of being like, oh, like who the fuck is this guy? Like, I feel like that is kind of, at least like here, that's what it feels like. In like Philly, there's not like enough spots, I think, for people to get too much like that.
Okay.
Because it's like there are people that'll be like that go out to like the 1 or 2 bars that they like first mics, but people kind of like know like who they are and that they do that, and they're kind of like, I guess, treated with that level, with the appropriate level of respect for someone that only does like 1 or 2 mics.
Gotcha.
You know, like it's less of like a number of people for it to be like clicks, but it's just like, yeah, there's people that do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. You want to hang out. You want to hang out with the big boys, not the comedian
not the little
babies,
baby boys.
not the little baby boys.
Little
Even though some of the big shots have been doing it for 5 years and have not gotten better.
Yeah. Some people do the same fucking 5 minutes at every
Same
mic
5
for
minutes at the same mic.
years on end.
Go on 150 comment Facebook rants.
This is what comedy's actually about.
So what's like? Have you noticed like a difference between like comedians or audiences from Philly compared to the comedians and audiences from New York?
Well, I guess like the bigger, I guess the bigger difference is like the like suburb stuff, because it's like audiences in the suburbs like a lot of times are just like pretty stoked that something is happening.
Yeah.
Like legitimately, it's just like, oh yeah, like if you're like here or even in Philly, like if a show pops up, you're like, I could be doing like anything else. Like I could do whatever, like I could go to this place, or I could go, like if you're like at like a bar in the middle of nowhere and then like a show's on, like you're just gonna be like, all right, well, hopefully, like at the very least, like hopefully this is good, like because I'm already here.
Yeah,
and,
I have
like,
nothing else going on. I hope this is entertaining.
Yeah, where like a lot of people will get like pretty into it because they're just like, that was neat that happened, because like nothing new happens around here. So like and then like the difference between like comedians, I don't know. Like, I guess like the way like people interact is like a little different, maybe because of like the format differences.
Mm-hmm.
So like here, like most of the mics are like bucket, where like if you don't do comedy, it's like you show up for sign-ups. There's like little slips of paper. You write your name. You throw it into a bucket. They pull out like a set number of names for a group, like usually like 5 or something, and then like in theory you would just call out those 5 names, but for the most part they get like rearranged to accommodate people that have to leave early or whatever.
Every bucket's rigged.
To do like just throw a little nepotism in there.
Yeah.
But honestly, a lot of times that's better for the show because you can like arrange.
You put the better.
You can arrange
there.
groups, but you can also like take some good comics out of a group to like make some of the other ones less stacked and stuff like that too. So it's not necessarily like that bad of a thing. But in like Philly and like in New York, most mics are like 2.5, 3 minutes. The free ones, at least.
The free ones. Yeah.
Where also, like, outside of New York, like, if someone asks you to pay for a mic, like, don't ever do it. Like, that's insane. That is insane to do. And, like, people only get away with it here because people are so fucking desperate.
Right.
Or dumb. Like,
it's a Ponzi scheme everywhere else.
Yeah.
Just keep paying. And you'll
yeah,
get
you don't
noticed.
need to. So don't do that anywhere else if you're considering trying.
Yeah.
But so most mics here are like 2.5, like 3 minutes, where it's almost like an errand. Like it's almost like a chore to like go to a mic for like
really
that
is.
little time, where people like are very like standoffish, and audiences like I feel like are like less receptive and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like because of the groupings of like 5 or whatever, if you're not in a group, you like most people like tune out entirely or leave the room, like go to the bar, go outside, smoke a cigarette or something.
Yeah.
Like it's just like and it's like that's not like a judgment on anyone that does it, because it's just the way that format like works out. In Philly, like most of the mics are just like a sign up sheet. There might be like some rearrangements of the sheet, but it's like you kind of have a sheet, so you know in general like where you'll kind of end up on the lineup. So then like if you want to just like kind of hang out, it's a lot more like leisurely, I guess, to like hang out. If you're like, I'm not going to be going for like 11 people, then if you're like, I have in 5 people, I have to remember to go in to check to see if I'm on it, and then if I'm not on it, I have to do something for
fucking off.
I had to
right
do
now.
something for another 5 minutes and
Yeah.
like another 5 comics, and then go in and do that again. So then like even though like a lot of the mics there are like 5 minutes, and it could take you like a while till like you go up, I feel like because you know that you're like less like, oh, like
I'll go fuck off.
yeah, it's just like a little less like tense or whatever.
But I imagine with like the clicks also, it's like, oh, this is like this mic click, and we're all curious about what we've been working on. For the most part, I imagine. Is that correct? Like, you know, people are like you said, like it's more standoffish here in New York.
So well, I guess like what I would mean is that it's just like you just have more time to like be like around hanging out, because it's less like there's less you have to keep track of with the actual mic. And like just having that much time kind of lends itself to being friendly enough with enough people, where it's like there are still people that are like, oh, they'll like hold grudges or whatever, and they like won't talk to each other, even though like everyone knows that they know each other and that they're doing this, like but it's like for the most part, it's just like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna try and be pretty cordial with everybody because we all have to fucking hang out for like 2 or 3 hours
We're all
anyway.
stuck in this.
Yeah, we're all
godforsaken
doing this, so
city.
we might as well.
Might as well try and have fun.
Yeah.
And that's like a thing.
Yeah,
That's a thing
enjoy
people
this.
forget about comedy. It's like, no, try and have fun.
Yeah, you're
try and
supposed
have a good time.
You're supposed to enjoy this.
doing
This
it.
This is the dumbest job in the world.
It's crazy
That's
how
great.
many comics I meet who just don't enjoy it. They just hate
It's
it.
just
Yeah.
like, because if you don't enjoy it, why do it? That's
Yeah.
always my thought. I'm like, go, I don't know, go be a doctor. That's it. And that's, you can be miserable. You make way more money that
I mean,
way.
like, look, you have a college degree, presumably. If you don't, go back to school. But if you have a college degree, you can.
Wow, that was
you can
very
make...
elitist of you. Wow.
Well, no,
problematic,
that's
dude.
just our current market right now in this country demands college degrees or technical training. So I'm just encouraging people to.
See, such an elitist.
Such a Westchester elitist.
You are a Westchester elitist.
Yeah,
but that is like a thing with like comedy where it's like there's so many people that would be like, oh, I'm like so dedicated to this that I don't like it anymore. And it's just like, what are you talking about? Just stop doing it then.
Yeah.
Like just take a break, because maybe you haven't considered that you don't like it, considering you keep saying that in so many words.
Yeah.
I will say there's a story of Louis on a podcast once was talking about where like he was like 6 years into doing it, and he's like, I want to quit. And I forgot who said, pointed out to him, was like, you can't quit. You haven't been doing anything else for 6 years. You have no other fucking skills. You have to keep. To keep doing this.
Yeah,
this is like, oh yeah.
That's how I.
And
felt.
it is like lots of people like feel that, but like what that is like, no, I want to be successful and I'm not. So it would be easier to quit.
Yeah,
but I don't want to quit, and that's why I feel sad, 'cause I'm thinking about how easy it would be as opposed to like doing something hard that I want to work out that isn't working out yet.
Well, I definitely feel like, or at least for me, it's been like hard in my 20s to like think about stand up, because like you're at a, like when I was doing it as a teenager, it was just like the future, what? That's not real. But now it's just like, yeah, I want to like feel as successful as my friends do at this point in their lives.
I don't like how I see my friends from college who have like houses, dogs, and like are getting married and like doing shit of their lives, and I'm like, yeah, I'm still going to bars at night, and
that's why I feel like I need something to cling to. Like the hard times is one thing I cling to very hardly, or very hardly. But something I cling to very hard, because it's just like, yeah, I write for this site that has a lot of viewers, and honestly, like people in the hard times are, or at least the ones I've met, have been really fucking cool, like all great people. So it's like I feel like with comedy, there's like stuff I need to cling to, whether it's like a job or like a show I do or a podcast I do that is now big internationally.
Well, it's like with life in general, you need stuff to do. You need stuff to like fill your time, and that's like such a trap for people. Is they'll be like, oh yeah, like I've been serious about comedy for like years. It's like, well, like what do you do? Like, in what way do you email bookers or whatever to try and get on shows, or like, no, I don't do that.
Yeah.
Or like, oh, do you like write for like online publications, or do you write scripts? Are you like filming sketches? Are you learning animation? Are you like, and then like for the most part, most people, it's like, no. So like even like the like. And the people that are doing that are usually like the least self-righteous people.
Oh, of course,
regarding to like how you should do comedy. It's usually just people that are like, I don't know, I'm just trying this, and like I hope it works.
Because you have to like spread yourself out as much as possible. That's why it's like, I mean, especially with like stand-up, it's like if you're trying to like make money exclusively doing stand-up, it's so hard.
But even if
so hard.
It's also like not impossible, but you have to do like certain things, and you have to be like, oh, like I want to, like I'll have to do like gigs that like aren't good, and like I kind of know that going in, but like they're paying me money for it,
right?
And like a lot of people like aren't honest with themselves when they're like, I don't really want to do that, like I don't really want to take.
Yeah,
like
take some
a paying gig at like an Elk Lodge or some shit just because it pays like $100 or $200 or something, or even less than that, because like a lot of gigs are like that. Or like I don't want to suck dick at the clubs to like try and get spots. Like I don't want to fucking.
I'll suck some dicks to get some.
Like
that's what I'm doing.
No, it's just like, oh, okay. Well, then like recognize that you're not gonna get spots for that like other people are, and you're gonna have to do something else. And it's like if you're not doing that, and so many comics are, it's like
So why can't I be past the cellar already? I have it okay 5.
I've been doing this for 5 months now. Why haven't I gotten my chance yet?
How come nobody's asking me to do spots at the clubs that I don't go to?
Why is Dave Attell ignoring my Instagram DMs?
Mark Norman didn't ignore our DM, so that was cool.
Yeah, that's true. We were trying to get him to headline the show we were doing, because apparently he's very easy to book if you like just give him a lot of money.
He was just like, sorry, I'm on the road that weekend, but I'm like,
that's like
that's
how like way more of them are than you expect. I remember like when Twitter was like a little younger, comedians used to like DM fans and stuff all the time to be like, I'm gonna be on tour. Do you like? You should come see me.
Come see me. Come out here.
It'd be like, oh, like I would be like, am I supposed to respond to this?
I'll be up in laughing up Iowa.
Yeah.
I live in New Jersey, but
hey, do you want to make the road trip, man? It'd be awesome.
Yeah, like
check out my podcast too.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we haven't done a mass Instagram DM, but
no. Well, I get those. I mean, some comedians they'll do the massive Facebook, like send me their things, like in a direct message. I'm like, why? What are you doing?
That's a bit weird. That's a bit pushing boundaries. Look,
they're older comedians.
If I accept your friend request, you're allowed to send me one page invite.
If I accept your friend request, that just means I recognized you. That doesn't mean I want to be your friend.
That's like the bizarre thing with like Hard Times, because like that was the first like comedian thing where I was like, all right, I'll like accept your friend request even though we've never met, because like I would get them all the time from just like random like guys like from fucking like the suburbs of Philly. I'm like, I've never seen you at a show, like why are you doing it? Like, and you can just message someone beforehand if you want to like book them. So it's like, we've never met. You just want to like look at what's going on my social media. Like,
hey, I have a show that I'm not going to put you on, but you want to come to this?
Like no, I don't want to look at your stuff because I don't know who you are. So
you accept their friend request, and it's all alt-right rants.
Yeah, and then I'm like, am I the only one doing this? Is everyone just accepting every friend request from like some guy named John who's like bald with glasses?
Yeah,
and you've never seen do comedy.
I accepted a friend request.
They'll say comedian in their bio, and I'm like, I have never seen.
I accepted a friend request from some woman from somewhere out in the middle of the country, just from comedy complaints, because she liked my like joke post, because I only post joke posts there from time to time. And I was like, all right, fine, you're a comedian. I'll accept your friend. I'll accept your friend request. And like the next day, she posts just like, I don't know, just some like really like long, gross like bathroom rant.
Nice.
Like, I don't want to describe it without like sounding sexist, but it was just like, what are you doing
Peter,
this
you
for?
can be as sexist as you want on this show. Women don't listen to this podcast.
I don't.
I was out at a mic last night, and someone was like on stage, and they literally was just like talking about how they like needed to take a shit, and they're like, oh shit joke didn't land. I was like, there's no joke. You just talked about needing to take a shit.
I fucking hate that. Where it's like they go on stage and it's just like, I'm really high right now. It's like, cool. You waited at this open mic for 2 hours to do 4 minutes about how you smoked weed before coming to this mic.
Hey man, don't talk about me. Hey,
I did not name the comedian I'm talking about.
We are in his house right now.
There are many comedians that personification could fit with.
And also it's like, if you like do that and it's not funny, then it's like, there's like, you can tell a shit joke. It just has to be like
a
an
good
actual
shit joke.
There
needs to be jokes in there.
Yeah, like if you like say something weird because you're high, and then you're like, "Oh, I'm high. That's why that was so stupid."
Yeah,
like that's different than just like the guy that goes on
why
stage.
am I not past the cellar yet?
It's like the worst comedy special I've ever watched was Doug Benson's, because he was so fucking high for it. And it was terrible. There was no jokes.
Yeah.
It was bad.
It's so weird because he's just like, he's so old now.
Oh yeah,
he's like 60. Like he's up there. He's an old fucking man, and like all he does is like smoke weed as like the coolest thing that he does.
Yeah,
right.
But like, everyone smokes weed now. It's not cool anymore. Like
every age,
like
every demographic.
he's gonna have to turn to be like the heroin comic. We're like, all right, I'm gonna do heroin and go on stage.
Turn into like the methamphetamine comic.
Yeah,
just the guy who goes on stage twitching.
Yeah, well, I mean, Kinnison was just a coke comic.
Yeah, drugs very prevalent.
Yeah, no comedians really age well at all. Like Dave Chappelle's probably the best one at it. Like when you consider any comedian and how they've like done over time.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, even like, because I'm like the people that like we thought of as like young comics, or like people my age, I guess.
Yeah.
Thought of as like young comics when I was younger. Like it's like, oh, now they're like old and they're doing like the bullshit that they made fun of like when they were young. Yeah. Like fucking,
I can't wait until that's us though. Like we're gonna be 50-year-olds and we're gonna be talking shit about the 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
And
I think comedy is shit about them now.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, no. All we have to do is say like everything from when we were young was good, and everything now is bad.
Yeah.
It's
Like,
funny
that's
how
the
many
way,
like
that's the way of the world, and like the people that embrace it,
It's
I feel like are more genuine.
Yeah.
Like
It's like shit changes. Weird how that happens.
well, it's funny how like every boomer always posts online about like, oh, these millennials, these young people,
They're so triggered and they get snowflaked.
They talk about like, oh, they don't know how to date. Like all they're doing is like fucking each other and hooking up. I'm like, motherfucker, your generation did that too.
You wish you could do what we're doing now.
I mean, like,
that's what it is. You're jealous. I can swipe once to the right and have a woman come suck my dick within 30 minutes. I've never done it, but I could.
Like I have a friend whose grandfather has like 5 estranged kids. It's like you guys have been. Every generation has been fucking.
honestly, like the introduction of boomers to social media is like what ruined it.
Social media, yeah.
Because it's like, oh no, this was never for you. You never understood it when it was good, which is like it isn't anymore.
Yeah.
And it's like now it's just like people reacting to ads.
Yeah.
That's based on like how they react to other ads. Like
or old people just posting memes that don't make sense, but they're just racist somehow.
yeah, every person over like 40 on Facebook sounds like they're schizophrenic. It's just like because like if you like if they said that sentence out loud, you'd be like, what? Like
Yeah. It would be.
it's like the people that wrote letters don't know how to write tweets because they like only understand that voice.
all these millennials think Bernie in all caps are gonna fix their problems. Snowflakes, get a job, lazy pieces of shit.
And then they put that on a T-shirt.
It's like imagine your grandfather
They're
just
like,
saying
this is
that.
much easier than going on Facebook.
Like imagine your grandfather saying verbatim what he posts on Facebook, just like at the dinner table.
Yeah.
Like the sentences are all like unstructured. You're
Yeah,
like, what?
Well, they're just losing their fucking minds.
Yeah, they
man.
all
It's
are.
like, I don't want to get political, but you listen to Trump or Biden talk, it's just like, what the fuck are
Yeah.
they talking about?
And it's also like I feel so bad because it's just like you guys could be like enjoying your lives by like not dealing with this fucking
you're
shit.
rich enough-
You lived like such a long period of your life not needing any of this. And now, like, our generation's ruined, and you don't have the wherewithal to be like, oh, we're just going to avoid this entirely.
You could just go to a beach and drink yourself to death.
like, yeah,
for 20
you-
years.
You guys
don't
should
have
be
to
going on culinary trips around Europe. Like,
Yeah,
not
you should be
spending on
poisoning
Facebook.
yourself
Yeah, I'm
slowly with like diet and lack of exercise and various
Yeah.
drugs. Like that's what age is supposed
Yeah,
to.
like aging, like you're supposed to get ugly and fat and die. Like that's the dream.
Yeah, and bald.
And, well, I'm never going bald. I refuse to let that happen.
I swear to God,
It's the
if
most
I,
tragic thing that can happen
It
to
really
like a man.
is.
Bald
Because
people-
like I can't grow a beard, so if I go bald, like I'm just gonna be unfuckable for the rest of my life.
You'll look just like an alien.
I
Oh,
will.
yeah.
I will.
Just eyebrows.
You have to have a beard if you're gonna go bald, or else it just doesn't work out at all.
Yeah, you look like you
Yeah.
hunt women as you go.
Yeah.
bald.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you're less human.
like the only thing I can do is like wear a hat.
Yeah,
but
you have
that
to wear the
doesn't-
Kangol hat. Like that's the bald guy move.
Like that's
That,
what
or you need to get really, really.
like that's what
jacked.
Kaplowitz
or
is doing right now.
honestly, the ultimate flex as a bald guy is to just get like a very well manicured side and
Oh,
back hair, and
yeah.
just leave the top like polished.
Perfectly,
Bald,
yeah.
like a very well kept, like embracing the bald and just like throwing it back in society's fit. That's the ultimate
That is the
bald flex.
Hell yeah, bald flexes with Kevin Hufe.
Black guys can pull off being bald. Like they it just looks better. Black
That is true. That's,
it
like,
just-
weirdly
it
true.
It is very true.
Yeah,
Like Clyde Drexler bald, or do you mean shaved head?
Both,
Just-
honestly.
yeah.
Yeah. Like
All right,
have you seen like a black bald guy who doesn't have a beard though? Because like the beard
more
like brings it
well,
all together.
It's usually black guy with a goatee.
Oh, Jimmy Peoples, he doesn't have a beard though. I don't think.
I don't think he has a beard.
Yeah,
but
no, he rocks it really well. Yeah,
Doesn't he shave his head?
I don't fucking know.
I don't know. I haven't looked.
It's
at
a
it.
weird,
Debatable.
choice to make, honestly. To just decide to go bald.
Well,
when
no,
you
I
don't
think
have to.
if you're thinning, you should go. Like you should embrace it early.
I knew a guy who was 20 and he like shaved his head for no reason. I'm like, why?
Yeah,
like we have a
that's-
beautiful set of hair.
He's like, I'm donating.
You're gonna
it
like
to
in like
cancer
in like
patients.
10 years, you're actually gonna lose it for real, and you're gonna be like, why didn't I enjoy my hair when I had it?
I think it's better to go do it early if you know you're gonna lose it. Like that way you get ahead of it.
Yeah. I mean, actually, my roommate, like, just senior year, was like considering like shaving his head too, being like, I want to be like some hipster looking motherfucker with glasses and a long beard and no hair. I'm
Yeah.
like, you're 21 and you just want to be unfuckable
Yeah, you
for the
just
rest of
end up-
college.
You end up looking like Emma
Yeah.
Gonzalez or whatever.
But anyway, the one thing I do want to get into, because you do have this story. So Shane Gillis, that
Never heard of
guy,
him.
never heard of him. Apparently, I think he was like, I think he's on Mad TV now. I think.
I think he's on In Living Color.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I got you. So no, Shane Gillis, as we all know, he well actually I don't think a lot of
Well,
people
let's
know
just
this.
we'll do a slight recap.
Yeah.
About basically a month ago now, Saturday Night Live announced its new casting of
Uh-huh.
Shane Gillis, some white woman, and Andrew, and Bo and Yang.
I actually don't know her name either. That white woman,
The white woman.
unnamed white woman,
Potential replacement for Kate McKinnon, white woman.
Yeah,
Weird.
yeah.
I'm sure she's.
I don't
great.
even remember the white woman's name that they added last season.
And Shane Gillis, and
That's how SNL works.
yeah.
I feel so bad. I'm supposed to be the woke boy, and I feel so
Nah,
bad.
I don't care. Yeah, they announced it. Let's say I think I saw the news at 12 p.m. And then by about 2:15, Shane Gillis was canceled.
Yep,
He was
canceled.
canceled.
He got caught in the cancel culture.
Cancel culture.
But so he came up in Philly.
He grew up. Yeah. Well, from what I can tell,
Yeah.
he grew up in the suburbs of Pennsylvania, but comedy-wise, he was in Philly.
And he came up in Philly, and you actually did a show with him, right?
I've done like a couple shows that he was also on, but he's not like a guy I like know like super well,
Right.
But like I've like met him in passing a couple times, yeah. But that was that when that happened. That was all really bizarre for sure, especially like because everybody I fucking know was like talking about it. Like very, very publicly with the social media sphere and stuff like that. Everyone wanted to be very opinionated about it or whatever.
Throw in my 2 cents.
Yeah,
My brother in comedy from Philadelphia.
What about me?
or my enemy in comedy from Philadelphia.
Right.
Like, but
what was
like, 'cause
what was
both groups
was there
of
like a
people-
big split, or was it more pro Shane or more anti Shane?
Well, really, what it was is like there was like a lot of people that like already didn't like him, and they didn't like him because of like kind of his personality,
Right.
Like, not even that he like had not like necessarily had done anything that specific, but a lot of people just didn't like him, and like most people like won't admit when they are kind of like, I just don't really like a guy. And like I'm kind of already bitter about it, and then to see that person become like
Successful
in
big-
like a thing that like a lot of the people that didn't like him would probably have valued more than he did anyway.
Yeah.
Because like I don't,
He seemed like a guy who didn't.
his
give a shit
humor
about
didn't
Saturday Night Live.
necessarily match up with SNL in like a way where I was like, I definitely think he's like funny, but I'm like he. As soon as I heard it, I was like, I can't believe SNL did that, because it's like I don't know what they would know Shane from that wouldn't make them think that he's too offensive for that position. Where like my first thought was like, oh, I guess Michael Che really does have a lot of influence on SNL, because I'm just like, nobody else there would have wanted to make that call. I don't think just because of the reputation that they have.
Yeah, there is a theory that he was casted not only because he was funny, but also because they wanted someone to appeal to middle America. But what makes it so funny is that the guy if that's true, the guy they casted to appeal to middle America gets fired immediately for making racial remarks.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, well, sorry, Kansas, we don't like you
We
anymore.
don't want you.
We don't want you anymore. And he's like, but you had didn't you have like you were telling me about this? You had like one small incident with him.
Oh no, yeah, it's not even like an incident, but it is like a thing where it's just like, I do want to say like I'm not like friends with him, and I don't want to like act like I'm like, oh yeah,
we were boys.
but and really I'm just like, my ultimate stance is like, if you don't like it, just don't like it.
Yeah.
And that's the way I think that should be dealt with. And I don't, but yeah, like there's been it's because it's a bizarre thing, because like it when I say that, people act like, oh, you like defending him or whatever. It's like, I'm not like defending him, because like me and him like don't necessarily like gel in terms of like like we're just like, I don't dislike him, but like when I've tried to talk to him, it's like I can't, because I'm too of like a weird autistic comedian, and he's such like the fun like party dude, popular guy kind of comedian that I'm like, oh no, like I think you're really funny, but like we can't hold a conversation together. Like I've like said things before where he thought I was like trying to be a dick to him, and I'm like, no. Stop. I'm just dumb. But it was bizarre because it like, especially because like his podcast was like his main. He's had like a couple other podcasts, but that was like his thing. And that wasn't like that old of an episode. And like when it came up, I was like, oh yeah, I remember that. Like I listened to their podcast. And I was like, "Oh, okay. Like they didn't know that before. Like,
Exactly.
What was their basis of like this is actually a comedian?"
Yeah,
it is insane.
Because like I really
people...
do kind of think at this point that they like ultimately, I don't really believe that they were incompetent enough to not know this kind of thing would happen from the jump. Where I'm like, I feel like they probably just wanted to do this so they would like look good at the end of it for like not doing it.
Yeah, but like then you figure it wouldn't be easier just to avoid it altogether.
I just think that...
because it's like nobody had been talking about SNL for like years to the point where like a lot of people still don't even know that this happened.
That's true.
A lot of people that are in comics, if you like bring this up, they don't know anything about.
Oh
this.
yeah,
sure. You're not in like TV Twitter or comedy Twitter, like you're not going to notice.
So that's like how far out of the like it came up on like a few major like news outlets, but that's still like how far out of the loop SNL is from like the general
public
population's like mental landscape.
Yeah, well, I think he got it because from what I heard is because he did Just for Laughs and killed. And then his audition killed, and he had like one other thing that he absolutely just killed on, and they're like, "Yeah, he's fucking funny.
To be honest, like
put him on."
Yeah,
and I'm like, I watched his part of his Just for Laughs, and he was fucking funny. Yeah, and I'm like,
he's talented. Like it's insane how many people I talk to who are like, "Oh no, they definitely vetted him. They just took a chance on him." I'm like, bullshit, they did. Do you know how much shit he said on his podcast? There's no way they vetted him. Like, Jimmy thinks he was vetted. I'm like, what are you talking about?
That's what I mean. Like, I think they did vet him, and I think they're just like, oh yeah, if people get too mad, then we can just fire him, and then we look better than not having done anything at all.
Yeah,
because it's like, that's the weird thing with these like publicity campaigns or whatever. It's just like, oh yeah,
they purposely create outrage to get attention.
And and it's like
that's
you
why
could,
Trump was on.
And it kind of goes to show like they could have just made it a big marketing thing that they just had their first Asian cast member on. Yeah, but that was overshadowed because the kind of people that are like the louder, more vocal people,
they want to hate something, not love something.
Yeah, exactly. They would rather experience like not like someone not. Getting something that they think doesn't deserve it.
They'd rather tear someone down than
be like, oh, this is like a historic moment for something that I like.
Yeah, well,
I think most people that also complain about it probably wouldn't watch Saturday Night Live either way.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I think there's a large chunk that are like, I don't fucking.
And that's why I think like the idea that it like ultimately was like a publicity stunt isn't out of the question because it's just like they need people to watch it. Yeah.
The funniest thing,
TV shows are struggling enough as it is.
Yeah.
Like
the funniest thing I had heard is that he was at the stand the night before the announcement, and he was joking on stage that he got it, but it's definitely not going to last. Yeah. I think they're definitely going to get me on something.
Dude, his podcast subreddit was like, how the fuck did Shane get on SNL?
Yeah.
It's like you know you have a problem there when you're subreddit people.
Everyone's like, you don't belong there.
They're like, he's gonna get nicked so hard.
But, it'll probably translate into a pretty good stand-up career because now he can say, I'm the guy that
I'll be on Ben Shapiro being like, I was censored. It's like, well, you called Chris Gethard a faggot and then said he made up his suicide story for what? For what reason? But anyway, I guess we're gonna just be wrapping up here. But last thing I want to ask you though is like, who are the big comedians in Philly right now
that people should look out for?
That people should look out for if they're ever in the Philly area.
Yeah, like there's like a ton of great comics, ton of great shows. Like if you want to see, like I guess the exemplary Philly open mic, like Raven Lounge on Thursday nights on Sampson Street is like probably the most popular open mic in the city, and like it goes all night. It's like upstairs. There's like a bar with like a lot of times like DJs and dancing and stuff below that. It's like a really good time. And then like most of like the great locals come through. There's like a lot of people like putting on interesting shows and stuff like that. Like these guys, Brian Six and Ryan Shaner, do a show called You Fucked It. They do like a podcast, and they were like good friends with Shane back in the day. Or I guess they are now. I don't know. Yeah, I guess like there's lots of great comics in Philly right now. Yeah, just fucking go see comedy shows in Philly and decide who you like. Because I like most people. I don't know.
Kevin likes them all.
Yeah, there's
every single comedian who
every
graces an open mic.
Person that ever
They're all
does
great.
comedy.
They're all the best. Go to any of them. Go see any of them. Shake their hands. Don't talk about Asian people in front of them.
Never. They're yeah.
Avoid talking about races that aren't your own.
Yeah.
It's just good advice from mine. Even if it's complimentary, don't do it.
God damn.
So we're gonna cut out that part where I said black guys look good bald.
Yeah. Also, you have to cut out the part where you say you're not allowed to talk about Asians because that's racist against them.
Yeah, that's also racist.
Maybe also the part where we talk about the white women on SNL that we don't know their name.
No,
we-
that's
we're allowed-
fine.
we can-
That's
we can
fine.
go out
You have to,
with
you have to,
women,
you have to draw the line
listen,
somewhere.
Yeah.
Where,
Bottom
and-
of the bottom barrel.
and-
for people you can hate white women. They're the number one to
Yeah,
hate.
sorry, white
I'm
women.
cutting
That's
that
where.
out.
That's
I'm
where.
fucking cutting
That's
that
where.
out.
That's where I draw the line. Is right after you. You're allowed to be made fun of too.
But so anyway, Kevin,
thank you so much for being on our podcast.
yes,
you
I
guys for
enjoyed
having me. It was
watching
fun.
3 Simpsons episodes
Yeah,
as we were
right in
talking.
the background a little bit.
We've
It's
been
funny,
at it
like,
a long
there
time.
were classics that were playing. There was the one where Mr. Burns got shot. There was the one where
Radioactive Man.
Bart Simpson or
Millhouse gets
Millhouse.
cast in Radioactive Man.
And then the other one is when they lose their kids.
They
to,
lose the kids to the
to
Flanders. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Damn,
yeah,
I wasn't facing the TV.
I know, we
I'm
got-
kind
we-
of.
No, I was, like,
I
glancing.
got silent. I was like, oh, this is a good
glancing every
episode.
now and then.
Classic TV. Where can people find you, follow you on
Yeah.
stuff?
You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Huffington Post.
I like that a
It's
lot,
Huffington Post, but the second F is an E.
Yeah.
So at Huffington Post. And
We'll
you can
link
check
to
out
that.
you can check out my articles on like the Hard Times if you search my name.
Yeah, look up in the authors section.
Yeah,
his name.
yeah. So that'd be
Is
cool.
it Kevin Hufe or is it Kevin J Hufe for the authors?
Don't reveal my middle initial on the podcast.
Is it like
Don't-
Homer J.
they're gonna
Simpson or
come-
it's J-A-Y?
No, yeah, J is just it's a really good middle letter for
Yes.
like your signature. It's a powerful middle letter. There's like a few especially good.
J. I feel like K is good too.
K is a pretty good one too. Just good cursive
L.
letter in general.
Well, just like I think any letter that flows with between your first and last name. So like
So,
if it rolls off the tongue.
I don't know.
Peter, what's your middle name?
Like Pat. Remember Patrick C. Huerta? Like Patrick C.
Huerta.
Huerta. Like that. Like the tongue movements are very fluid in that. So it's got to be like one of those.
All right, what's your middle name?
Jack.
J. there you
Peter
go.
J. Clark. Yeah, it doesn't-
Yeah, I've
Peter-
never.
Peter-
I already have a hyphenated last
there's
name. I'm
already
never
too
going to
many
use.
names.
I'm never
Yeah,
going to
it's too
use
much.
my middle name at all.
Yeah, mine.
What's your middle name?
Robert?
Sean Robert Barry. That doesn't. That's not.
Yeah, it does. I
Yeah.
can start going.
Sean
by,
R.
But
Barry
Sean R.
sounds
Barry-
like
Sean
a
Sean
fruit.
R.
yeah.
Yeah, the R doesn't
Sean
really.
R. Barry.
R doesn't have a lot of emphasis. It kind of just like blends in too
R,
much.
R goes.
No,
on
yeah,
everywhere.
the end of the R sound throws off the rest of the.
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
tough singular letter.
Yeah.
All right.
Donald,
Oh, that was a weird way to end this podcast.
Donald J.
Now that
Trump.
we've got that settled.
Yeah, but Kevin, thank you so
Thank-
much for
thank you.
being on. Your
Thank you,
dogs
guys.
have been lovely.
Yeah, they've been
yes.
good.
They
They've been
hopped
fucked.
on. One of them hopped on.
They hopped on both of us
Sean
the
and I
entire
were
Yeah.
trying
off.
to
They're very
lick the
opinionated.
shit out of our faces.
Yeah, we got
during this
in there.
podcast, but they're adorable, and we're gonna get some on the gram. if that's okay with you.
Yeah, sure.
Do they have their own Instagram account? Should I tag them? Your dogs?
I don't remember how active hers is.
I was joking. See, I was like joking.
That's a real thing.
He doesn't have one though.
All right, cool.
All right.
But, anyway, I've been Peter Clark Deutsch.
I've been Shauner.
Sean
I've been
Robert
Sean
Berry.
Robert Berry.
And this has been
Two Mic Minimum.